How are you doing, Coach?
Good. Very good.
Yeah.
We're just trying to, not cry when we lose. Last week at the NCAA's, we would have won it, I think, pretty handily with the power that we have on this team. The good news is we're going to get to have them back. And so next year's team, hopefully a vaccine is, solved by then. But our indoor team and outdoor team next year could be really outstanding.
How hard is that to look back on something like that, and obviously what coulda, woulda, shoulda been?
It's harder than I thought it would be, not only for the coaching staff, but also for the athletes, because, they'll text you and go, gosh, we would have been in Austin right now. And, this would have been my day off before the finals on Saturday, so on and so forth. And then this week would have started the Olympic trials. So those athletes that have that capability would be on their way to Eugene, Oregon to run in the U.S. Olympic trials. And we have a few others that would, be representing their country and trying to get qualified for Tokyo.
Yeah, that's tough. Now, the good news is your cross-country girls have come back already. Your track and field girls are coming back today, right?
Well, they can, yes.
Yeah.
The facilities are still restrictive, and it's a situation where we're trying to bring them back, but in as safe and a guarded way as we possibly can. So we, obviously we'd like to have no positives and make sure everybody is healthy and happy. And eventually, when our facility reopens, then they can, use our indoor and outdoor track. Although our indoor track is under construction presently, but our weight room and training room, which has a very specific protocols, they'll go through that procedure to, re-enter the strength phase of their training.
So are those weight rooms in the track open right now, or are they going to be open in the next couple of days?
No, they're open now. The weight room and the training room are both open and accessible. The track itself, though, is still closed. And the only athletic field that we're able to use is the football practice complex and share that with all the other sports. So, we're abiding by the protocols, obviously. It's just now a matter of who's ready and who is now taking their natural break for summer to get ready to get into the training phase ultimately for August, September.
Yeah, I was going to ask, as I was talking to neighbors on Saturday about his girls coming back, he's like, well, technically June is the month where we don't do a lot. It's kind of our dead period. So they're back here, but they're not necessarily like training in a way that you would envision training. So if you, as a track athlete right now in this month, as you're coming off an outdoor and you said the Olympic trials would be happening, where are you in your training as a track athlete?
For most of our track athletes, they're in their break phase, very similar to basketball. And then, ultimately, if there is any need for rehab, they'll meet with our training staff, get checked in, do whatever demands are needed, and then the same in our strength phase. So the distance crew, they're still out running volume, getting their miles in, and some of them will take their break here in the next week or two.
Do you feel like the athletes that you've been able to chat with at all feel comfortable about coming back and working out at the facilities here on campus?
It's interesting. I have not heard a negative comment yet. All are, very, very positive. I think there's some questions about when I do come back and follow the protocol, do I need to have a mask? How many people are working out? Can my buddies come with me? So on and so forth. Because obviously I think the athletic department's protocol is much more restrictive than I think some of our athletes would like to have.
How happy are you though that the facilities are opening up to your athletes, because for the past couple of months everything's been closed and they've had to go find places to train?
Yes, I mean, they've been over hill and dale. A lot of our post collegians that are, professional athletes, they're almost training like distance runners lately. They're either trying to master some hills locally, get in some longer aerobic runs, so on and so forth. That's not ideal by any means to get them ultimately ready for competition, although everything in the world has been put either on cancellation or in a postponement phase to try to figure out if September and October might be safer, and those athletes would be more ready to compete and finish somewhat of a semblance of an outdoor track season.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask next about your post collegiate, your pro former Hogs. Girls like Peyton Chadwick, Sandy having to go build her own pit at home in South Carolina. But what are unlike football, what are the restrictions? What are the details with athletes like that who use your facilities to continue to train as a professional?
Well, they're actually a little more handicapped than our collegiate athletes because of the restrictions in numbers that can be in the facilities and so on. We've eliminated the pro athletes from using our rehab and our strength training formats, but they are pretty creative and have used some community event areas to try to keep relatively current in their training modes, because ultimately, as a pro, your money's made when you go to those meets, and ultimately that might start popping up in August and maybe as late as October.
When do you see that possibly changing, if at all, the rest of 2020?
They've talked about the idea in July that possibly, if phase one of this protocol is working well, then we could possibly reopen to phase two. And as we gain momentum and it's all in a positive way, I think our facilities will continue to open up as we go.
You've got 3 seasons to kind of focus on cross country, indoor, and outdoor. I feel like cross country of them all might be the safest in this COVID environment because you're outside and you're running despite running in packs. I feel like indoors got to be the scariest because it's a bunch of people packed in beside each other. What are the discussions like as you look towards what these events could look like?
Well, it continues to be very fluid. I think everybody has questions, and there's really nobody that has an answer yet. And so we're all kind of trying to be as optimistic as possible and prepare accordingly, and then encourage any medical faction out there to get a vaccine as quickly as possible. And then, let's try to return to somewhat of what we remember as normal. But it's a situation where the distance crew, they're out. They're, for them to stay 6 feet apart is opposite of what we want them to do in a racing format for cross country. But naturally, they're going to have some separation and so on. In fact, the other day we had a conference call and they asked if it was possible for the first minute or two of a cross country race that the kids wear a mask, and then make a decision about what to do with it. And they said, well, they could throw it, but then those that are following would be endangered. So they'd have to tuck it into their shorts or something and take it to the finish line and then put it back on, I guess. So there's all sorts of crazy ideas out there. Again, we're just waiting for somebody to give us an answer.
You talked about that construction down at the indoor facility. Have you gone down there and sneaked a peek? I know Dave across the street's continuing to take pictures of what's happening with his stadium. So how's things going on down there?
It's almost like the night before Christmas. You want to sneak in and see what's under the tree. And this situation, just under the roof. They have repainted it. They are redoing all the lighting and the new sound system. The people from Mondo will be coming in around the 1st of August. to relay all brand new rubber for the track and the entire building. So we're really looking forward to that. And because of the COVID situation, we're actually ahead of schedule as far as construction goes. And the same with our outdoor facility. Our construction people haven't missed a day, and except for maybe rain occasionally. But I talked to the lead foreman today, and he said that they were actually a hair ahead of schedule. So hopefully they won't be denied, and we'll get these projects completed on time.
Yeah, that's good news. Well, hey, Lance, thanks for talking to me. I appreciate the time.
My pleasure. Anytime.